Hello everyone, welcome to this week's iWoman Report. I'm Kathleen Trigg-Jones in our New York City Broadcast Center. We have a great show coming up today. How many of you are addicted to TikTok? Well, Congress is moving forward with plans to ban TikTok from the United States, and it's a much bigger deal to many of you than I actually thought. Some people have quit their careers and rely solely on their income from being TikTok influencers. So we're going to fill you in on the latest developments there. Also, support for women's health research is growing. And later, it's award season, and we've got one of the producers of the biggest award show for women in television and film here in New York City joining us to reveal this year's surprise honorees. You'll hear it first right here on the iWoman Report. But right now, let's dive into the hot topics of the week. More accusations of abuse on the set of some of the popular TV shows many of you, or maybe your kids, might have grown up on. The dark side of a beloved children's television network is coming to light in a new documentary entitled Quiet on Set, The Dark Side of Kids TV. It details the abuse endured by many of the child stars of Nickelodeon at the hands of a well-known showrunner by the name of Dan Schneider, dialogue coach Brian Peck, and production assistant Jason Handy. Schneider created one hit after another on the children's network, including The Amanda Show, Drake and Josh, Zoe 101, and iCarly. Suspicions and accusations of Schneider's shows have been circling for years, especially once iCarly star Jeanette McCurdy released her memoir, I'm Glad My Mom Died, in 2022. Where she detailed abuses that she experienced as a child actor from her mom, as well as through a man she called the Creator. After the four-part series aired, Dan Schneider addressed the claims about his work environment during production. In the 19-minute video, Schneider said he owed a lot of people an apology, specifically mentioning the allegations that he asked crew members and writers to give him massages while on set.
When I watched the show, I could see the hurt in some people's eyes, and it made me feel awful and regretful and sorry.
The clock is ticking on TikTok. Congress has officially voted to pass a bill that would either ban the app in the United States altogether or force a sale of TikTok to an American-based company. You've probably heard the concerns, but TikTok poses a national security threat, according to experts, due to its parent company being based in China. Lawmakers have said they fear China is using the app to spy on American citizens, and that it could even be used to weaponize that information to influence the United States. Critics of the ban say taking the app away from Americans is a violation of the First Amendment because it eliminates a platform where people express themselves, get information, and communicate, not to mention all the small businesses and creators who have seen immense growth in their brands from TikTok viral video exposure. Before the bill becomes law, it has to go to the House and get approved, which could take months. Businesses across the country are closing their door, for the day at least, to advocate for federal paid family leave. The Paid Leave for All campaign, launched in 2019 to unite organizations in the fight for federal paid family leave for American workers. We're one of the only countries in the world that does not have a national paid leave policy. Only 25% of American workers have paid leave through their employers, and it, of course, is disproportionately affecting women, as they are typically the ones to take on caregiving roles. Some women are forced to return to work just 2 weeks after giving birth, or lose weeks of pay and risk being fired. It is recommended that women take off 6 weeks after giving birth. However, 1 in 4 women go back to work after 2 weeks in the United States. I attended an event recently with the First Lady of Iceland at the Scandinavia House, which is just around the corner from our studio here in New York City. I don't know how much you know about Iceland, but their paid family leave policies are almost the exact opposite of ours here in the United States. In fact, they're a world leader when it comes to equal rights and inclusion for women and men, quite frankly. It may be small, but it has topped the world economic gender gap 14 years in a row. The only country that's closed more than 90% of the gender gap. And here's why.
Someone said to me last year after an interview, I was on a TV show here in New York, and talking about International Women's Day and what Iceland is doing, and then he came up to me afterwards, Cameron, and said, okay, so Iceland's the best country in the world for women. What's the best country in the world for men? And I said, every country in the world is the best country for men, including Iceland still. Iceland has an extensive policy for that has existed since the year 2000 of what I call use it or lose it, meaning that in two-parent households, both parents get allocated a certain amount of government paid leave, and you can't give it just to one parent. The idea being is that responsibility is shared between two parents to raise the children. It prevents more discrimination in the workplace, to say a mother who people think is just going to take time off work. It means that women go back to work. It means that men have developed a closer relationship with their children. And I can talk in more detail about this, but it's a key pillar of an equality policy that is not specific to a party. You wouldn't find a political party in Iceland cutting away at those rights.
Shout out to my dear friend Adrian Smith, who did a fantastic job interviewing the First Lady at the event sponsored by the United Nations to tackle the issue of equal pay. Another big issue of disparity that is on the minds of women is our health. President Joe Biden signed an executive order that aims to expand research on women's health issues. This comes after the First Lady, Joe Biden, announced a fund of $100 million going towards women's health research and startups, as well as President Biden's call on Congress to invest more in women's health care during his State of the Union speech.
I've called on Congress, as we've said, I'm repeating myself here, $12 billion for that effort. And today we're jump-starting that investment by dedicating $200 million in National Institute of Health to tackle some of the most pressing health problems facing women today. With the executive order I'm about to sign, I'm directing the most comprehensive set of executive actions ever taken to improve women's health.
The order would fund research that focuses on health issues that disproportionately affect women, including menopause, Alzheimer's, fibroids, arthritis, and heart disease. The order also requires agencies to make yearly reports on their investments in women's health research. Investing in women's health is vital in moving toward a more equitable world, and nothing illustrates this more than the recent death of YouTuber Jessica Petway, who died due to cervical cancer after a misdiagnosis. 9 months ago, Petway revealed that she had been diagnosed with stage 3 cervical cancer after an inaccurate diagnosis of fibroids. She experienced extreme vaginal bleeding during the summer of 2022 and was hospitalized multiple times between then and her cancer diagnosis, each visit ending with the same conclusion: fibroids. It was not until she visited an oncologist in February of 2023 who performed a biopsy that she was given the correct diagnosis of cervical cancer. It's cases like Jessica's that prove understanding all facets of women's health is truly a matter of life and death. If her doctors had taken her extreme bleeding seriously, or maybe if they knew more information about fibroids and explored all of the avenues of Jessica's symptoms, perhaps she could still be with us. Our hearts go out to Jessica, her husband, and her children.
I mean, as a gynecologist reading this, I'm like incensed by this whole situation, because there's so many reasons and so many ways that this should have not happened this way.
And you say you yourself got calls from a lot of people when the story came out.
They were like, please help me understand, because you read this and you hear misdiagnosis fibroids, and all these people have fibroids, myself included.
Yeah, you're scared.
And you're like, do I have cervical cancer? If you've had a PAP and you're up to date on that, you don't have cervical cancer. Like, you don't. But we can still evaluate and make sure a person is safe and their bleeding is, reasonable, and we're reducing symptoms. But the PAP saves. And I have to plug, the HPV vaccine. There was just a study that came out that showed that out of I think it was thousands. It was like 40,000 people who got HPV vaccine before the age of 14. It eliminated cervical cancer in that population.
Goodness.
Eliminated it. None, not zero, not one case of cervical cancer in that population.
When we come back, we are celebrating women in television and film. We've got one of the producers of the Muse Awards joining us. Welcome back. How many of you have competed in or watched our incredible New York Women in Film and Television iWomanTV Film Festival right here on iWomanTV? Well, Katie Chambers is the Senior Director of Community and Public Relations for New York Women in Film and Television. NYWIFT, as they are commonly known, hosts the Muse Awards each year, a chance to recognize women of vision and achievement in the entertainment industry. She's joining us on the iWoman Report to tell us about the 44th Annual Muse Awards and the incredible honorees this year. I am so excited to have you join us on the iWoman Report, Katie, and you are one of the producers of this fantastic event that we call the Muse Awards. Talk to me about the Muse Awards that's coming up next week.
Yes, we're so excited. Wednesday, March 27th at Cipriani 42nd Street, we will have the 44th Annual NYWIFT Muse Awards, which is our gala awards luncheon celebrating women of vision and achievement in the TV, film, and media industry.
What is the Muse Awards exactly, though? Why the name Muse?
Sure. Well, we always say the Muse name comes from, the original Greek goddesses who were an inspiration and a source of creativity and power. And we want to bring, part of NIO's mission is celebrating women's achievements. And this is the ultimate way that we do that. We are a not-for-profit, so this is our biggest fundraiser of the year. And it's also a way for us to pay tribute to incredible women who are really not only achieving at the highest level in their media careers, but who are also using their platform to advocate for a greater good, whether that be within the industry to make the industry more inclusive, or whether that is through another cause that they're passionate about. So people who are not only achievers within their profession, but who are also amazing advocates for positive change.
Why do you think that the organizations like New York Women in Film are so critical in this discussion, especially when we're talking about pay equity and things like that for women today?
Throughout all of our programs throughout the year, we bring together thought leaders to talk about these issues that we're facing, not only just to complain, but to express concerns and talk about ways that we can move forward together. We've always been a community organization. We've always been about networking. And a huge part of what we do is provide this amazing space for people of all genders to congregate and talk about ways that we can make a better and more inclusive industry. At the Muse Awards, we are honoring women of vision and achievement. Many of these women are famous, but all of them started from somewhere, and we're honoring that whole path. We're not just talking about the glory that they're experiencing now. We're talking about how they came up in the business. We show how they came up in the business, and we're celebrating that whole path together. And it's a really amazing thing.
Let's talk about the honorees this year. This is a really big day, a big night for women in television and film. Who are you honoring?
This year, we have an amazing lineup for our Enid Roth Award for Excellence in Journalism, which is a new award that we introduced last year. This year, we will be honoring Rainey Aronson-Rath, who is the editor-in-chief and executive producer of Frontline on PBS. Receiving the Mayor's Office of Media and Entertainment Made in New York Award is actress and writer and producer Alex Borstein, who most of you probably know as the amazing manager Susie Meyerson on The Marvelous Mrs. Maisel on Amazon. Receiving another Muse Award is the award-winning actor Tantu Cardinal, most recently seen in Killers of the Flower Moon. We also have actor, comedian, writer, activist, and of course, president of SAG-AFTRA, Fran Drescher, who we all know as the nanny. And of course, we watched her over the last year lead SAG-AFTRA through their groundbreaking strike, one of the longest strikes in the union's history, and she did it to great success. So she's a perfect example of somebody who's achieving both at the creative level and also using her platform to work on something she's passionate about. We also have the head of Global Diversity, Equity, Inclusion, and Accessibility for Amazon MGM Studios, Latasha Gillespie, and award-winning actress and filmmaker Kira Sedgwick, who we all know from her amazing 11-year run on The Closer. We also have Critics' Choice Award and BAFTA Rising Star Award nominated actress Millicent Simmons, who most of you probably know from the Quiet Place franchise. She was so phenomenal in the first A Quiet Place movie that she actually took over in the second installment of the franchise as the franchise's lead. And last but not least, filmmaker, artist, and author Michelle Stevenson will receive our Nancy Malone Directing Award. So it's great to honor Michelle, who also happens to be a longtime NYWIFT member. So wonderful to have somebody in the community up there on the stage this time.
How do you come up with this list? Who makes the actual final cut? Because you have so many incredible members.
It's an, internal, our leadership team, we look at what's going on in the industry, who are the change makers, what are the issues we're facing now, who's out there on the front lines addressing them, and who is reaching a moment in their career where it's really time for them to be recognized for how far they've come and what they're contributing to the film and TV canon.
Incredible. Well, I can't wait to be there. I'm excited to actually come this year. My team got to come last year. We're always excited about it. Lastly, before you leave, I do want to talk about some of your initiatives. In particular, I'm really excited about the Writers Lab and the fact that it's encouraging women that are not just starting out, but even seasoned writers to get involved.
Exactly. This is actually the 10th anniversary year of the Writers Lab, which is an initiative that we co-produce with Elizabeth Caden and Nitsa Willon. It is the only screenwriters lab of its kind specifically for women screenwriters over 40. We want to be supporting women who are more experienced in, not necessarily in writing, but in life, who have vital stories to tell, who are driving our economy. It's a lost, untapped market, and we really want to make sure we're getting those stories out there. So we've been so fortunate and so grateful to have the support of Meryl Streep and Nicole Kidman for several years, who support the Writers Lab. You can be a new writer, you can be a seasoned writer, as long as you are a woman or non-binary screenwriter over the age of 40. We would love for you to submit to the Writers Lab, and we'd love to see your work.
Incredible. So, Katie, thank you so much. I know you've got a lot of planning, and I'm glad that you were able to take a little time out for us on the iWoman Report. Please tell everyone how they can find out more information about NYWIFT.
Yes, you can see us on our website at NYWIFT. That's NYWIF as in film, T as in television.org. You can also go to that site to get tickets to the Muse Awards. They are still on sale. And follow us on all social media platforms at NYWIFT.
Awesome. Katie Chambers, thank you so much again for joining us on the iWoman Report. Continue to be great and advocate for women. We really appreciate it.
Thank you so much for having me. It was great to see you, Kathleen.
You too. More good reasons to support women in television and film. If you want to check out the Muse Awards, it's happening March 27th in New York City at Cipriani's. And as Kate said, you can still get tickets on their website. And make sure you check out the New York Women in Film and Television iWomanTV Film Festival that is still right on iWoman.tv. Make sure you stick around for our segment, What You Wouldn't Have If It Weren't for a Woman. Welcome back. Ruth Bader Ginsburg is our lifetime shero here at iWomanTV, unofficially, for so many reasons, and I have to believe she's still fighting for us. At least her family is. The Dwight D. Oberman Foundation canceled its award ceremony after her family learned this year's recipients included Elon Musk and Rupert Murdoch. The Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg Leadership Award was established in 2019 in order to recognize extraordinary women who have exercised a positive and notable influence on society and served as an exemplary role model in both principles and practice. Previous recipients have been Queen Elizabeth II, Barbara Streisand. However, this year, the foundation decided to go in a completely different direction, removing the word woman from the award and adjusting the criteria to trailblazing men and women. They selected 4 men to receive the award alongside Martha Stewart, including Elon Musk, Rupert Murdoch, Sylvester Stallone, and Michael Milken. Well, the announcement sparked immediate criticism, specifically from Ruth Bader Ginsburg's family, who shared multiple statements. Her daughter, Jane, said in a statement, the Oberman Foundation has strayed far from the original mission of the award and from what Justice Ginsburg stood for. Her son's statement reiterated his sister's sentiment, saying 2 of the recipients, Murdoch and Musk, are antithetical to everything that Mom stood for.
And one of the things we want to do here is set the record straight. The family had nothing to do with this. We were not consulted. We are vehemently against this appropriation of our mother's name and this insult to her legacy. And it's a little bit like, as one of her law clerks put it, if somebody gave money to a university to build a physics lab and they built a football stadium instead. It so violates the purpose of what was intended here. And this is not what my mother signed on to, when the award was first created.
The family has said they were not informed of the change in criteria, requesting removal of her name from the award if it is not going to adhere to the original meaning as approved by Justice Ginsburg herself. The foundation has since canceled the award ceremony and has stated that they are re-evaluating its mission. And good for them. I think it's safe to say Justice Bader Ginsburg would have voiced very strong opposition. And now to this week's Without a Woman segment. The star of our Without a Woman segment is Maria Telks, a Hungarian scientist who immigrated to the United States to work as a biophysicist at the Cleveland Clinic Foundation in 1924, later working at MIT on their solar energy conversion project. By the time she died, she had amassed over 20 patents, most of her inventions using solar power, earning her the nickname the Sun Queen. She was a pioneer in the use of solar energy, and many of her inventions have led to advancements still in use today. During World War II, she invented the first solar distillation device used to remove salt from seawater so that soldiers could access clean drinking water. The device was modified and scaled up for the Virgin Islands and is still in use today. She was a pioneer in the field of solar energy, creating the first solar oven and solar heating system as well. Thank you, Maria Telks, for making the world a better place. And this brings me to my thought of the day. Imagine a world where everyone, regardless of gender, is granted the same opportunities, compensation, and respect in the workplace. The vision isn't just about fairness, it's about recognizing the undeniable benefits that equality brings to all sectors of society. When women are paid equally for their contributions, it leads to healthier families and communities. Financial disparities don't just affect women, they impact everybody connected to them. Children, partners, and the broader community suffer as well. Moreover, advocating for paid time off for women, especially for maternity leave and health care, isn't just a luxury, it's a necessity. It's something that fathers too should get to demand if we're truly talking about pushing for equality in the workplace and in the home. It acknowledges the dual roles that many women and men both play at work and at home, and it supports them in these roles without forcing them to choose between a career and family and health. This form of support from workplaces and governments can lead to more stable and happy families, reduce stress and mental health issues, and also foster a more productive and engaged workforce. Equal rights and equal benefits in the workplace, including equal pay and paid time off, are not just women's issues, they're economic and societal imperatives. They lead to a more equitable society. They drive economic growth by increasing the purchasing power of the entire community versus just having half of the population benefit in this. And it also enhances the well-being of families and communities. It's about creating a world where everyone, regardless of gender, can thrive. So as we reflect on the importance of equal rights for women, let's remember that the fight for equality benefits all of us. It's not just about leveling the playing field, it's about building a better, more equitable world for future generations. So let's stand together in this essential quest for equality, for in doing so, we uplift not just women, but all humanity. Before we leave you today, one quick shout out, and I'm asking our entire iWoman family to join us in celebrating our dear associate producer, Bridget Green, who got married over the weekend, in a beautiful St. Patrick's Day celebration on Long Island. Congratulations to you, Bridget and Connor, and your entire family, and thank you for returning to work. We wish you the absolute best. That's going to do it for this week's iWoman Report. I want to thank all of you for joining us. Please be sure to support all of our female content creators by logging on to iWoman.tv. In the meantime, everyone, please stay healthy, stay happy, and stay safe.